You are now listening to True Warrior Football Podcast. All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. I cannot believe I'm actually finally getting an opportunity to do something like this. This has been a dream that was unrealized by me for too long. When I made the announcement to people, and a lot of my friends said to me, I can't believe you did not think of this sooner, or nobody else thought it sooner, but I'm glad you're the one that's doing it because you are the one that we trust to carry this out and do a really good job at it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce myself. My name is Corey Smith. To those of you that do not know me, for those that do know me, you guys know me as Legendary Kid. I've been around here, this football program, for a long time. I have been a part of the Warren Central community since I was a freshman at 2002, and I've been to a lot of ups and downs with our players over the years. A lot of great highs. I've been there with them at their lowest points as well. And this right here is definitely something that I feel is going to fill a void out there for all the people that love Warren Central football as much as I do. So with that being said, welcome to the very first episode of the True Warrior Football Podcast. I also want to thank, before I really get off to this, I must say I have to give thanks to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and God above. With all things through them, they make it possible, and to say that I've been able to get to this point in my life without their guidance and their help would be, it would just be a bad look on my part. So I just want to give thanks and praise to them. I'm not going to go too deeply religious right here, but I just want to start off this podcast by giving thanks to them. So we're moving on right now. Let's see here. Wow. Another season has started for the Warriors. For those of you that did not know, this is the 81st season for the football team. And really, they are coming into the season with a lot of high aspirations, which they should. Warren Central has been a program that for the last 15 years, almost 2 decades, almost really have championed themselves as being one of the best teams in the state of Indiana when it comes to high school football. They've been one of the teams that has consistently been deep in the running for winning titles. We won 6 titles. We were the first school in Indiana state history to win 4 straight titles. We did that from 2003 to 2006. I was very fortunate enough to be a part of the 2004 team as a junior. And as a senior, I was a part of the 2005 team. And after I graduated, I had another opportunity to come back and be a part of the 2006 team. So I was part of 3 of the 4-peat. And that really, those 3 years that I was a part of the program really helped introduce me to a lot of the history, a lot of the pomp and circumstance around the program. Brought me around a lot of great players, brought me around a lot of great coaches at the time, a lot of great coaches and people that I'm still in touch with. And really that brings another part of this podcast to me that I want to talk about. Somebody said to me, well, I can't believe nobody else thought of doing this before. I was like, yeah, you're right. And I'm glad nobody else did, because if somebody else did do it, I would be so mad. I would be grateful that somebody did it though, but I'd be so mad that I wasn't the one that was doing it myself because I feel like I'm like the perfect person to do this. There was a legendary coach by the name of Bo Schembechler, and Bo Schembechler was the head coach of Michigan football for years and years and years. And in the late '80s, he became after. No, he was still the head football coach. He became the athletic director for Michigan. And at the time, the boys basketball team of Michigan was getting ready to enter the tournament, but their head coach reached out to him and said, "Hey, after the season, I'm gonna leave and take another job somewhere else." And Bo Schembechler didn't like that. He didn't like that at all. So Bo fired that coach, and he said at the press conference, "A Michigan man will coach Michigan." Now, how does that relate to what I want to do here? Well, I am a Warren Central graduate. 2006, class of 2006 graduate. If anybody else were to do this, like I said, that wasn't part of the history, that did not know this, they were coming from an outside program and wanted to do this after reading up on it, it wouldn't be the same. I'm a warrior man. A warrior man will lead this podcast, and I promise you, to everybody else out there listening, I promise you, this will be one of the best things you will listen to on a consistent basis. I am putting the best podcast out there for this program that has ever been made. I promise you that. There are so many great topics I am going to cover. I cannot wait to discuss them all with you guys. Okay, now we are back. And what I really want to start off by talking about here on this podcast, the season is here right now. This week we play Center Grove, okay? And really, we are coming into the season hot. Once again, another season, we are starting off number one in the state. I can't think of how many times this has happened over the last, 10, 15 years. It seems like it happens all the time. But for other schools, that would be a prominent thing for them. But for us, being number one at the beginning of the season is great. Being number one at the end of the season is what's better. That's what we're shooting for. And that's what this team is really, really gunning for. And this season has really turned out to be we're coming in with the highly ranked team in the nation, as a matter of fact. Max Preps has also just stated that we are one of the top 10 programs of the last 15 years, going all the way back to 2003. Now, we were number 9, but there's a big significance with that. Now, let's think about this. United States of America is a large country, 50 states, of course. Every state has a large number of high schools, well, except for Alaska and like Hawaii, like those small schools. But every state has a large amount of high schools. And I imagine there's probably about 3,000 high schools spread out across the country. Now, think about this, okay? Of those 3,000 schools, not all of them are good at football. Not even close. Not even half. I would say barely 200 or so are really good at football. Really that top echelon, that top level, those really blue blood classes or schools that you can count on year in and year out to be the tough teams that you face on your schedule if you happen to face them all the time. There's about 200 in the country. And for us, Warren Central High School, right here in the heart of Indiana, on the east side of Indiana, okay, to be considered one of the top 10 schools in the country, that is incredible. Like, I'm just like in awe, really. Like, we were in front of schools from Florida, like some powerhouses down there in Florida where everybody says like Florida's king. Okay, we're ahead of you guys. We're ahead of some top schools in California, top schools in Texas, top schools in Georgia and all Louisiana, all over the place. Indianapolis, Indiana. Number 9. And people think, oh, they don't play football over there. Well, you know what? Obviously, the results differ because when we play teams from out of state, generally we really give them their hardest game that they'll face all year. The hardest game. I remember the first time I remember us playing at I'll say school, we played Cincinnati Elder. And of course they're from Ohio and Cincinnati, and Ohio's like the king of football over there. And they were like coming off a state championship winning season the season before. And this is a school we hadn't won yet. So they figured they were going to run over us and it was going to be a tough game for us to compete. We whipped their butts up and down the field, up and down, up and down. Desmond Tardy, Mark Bonds, Kyle Wembley had huge pass plays all over the place. Man, we let them know that Indiana football had arrived. I think that was really the first major game I can think of between Indiana and Ohio, two powerhouse schools from each state that really actually competed against each other, and the Indiana school that's whipped them up and down the field. I think we won like 45-17, 45-21, something like that. Like it was, for them, it was a shocker. Like they couldn't believe it. But for us, I feel like that was what we expected to do. We didn't come down to face them. The game wasn't in Ohio. It was in Ryle, Kentucky. And we didn't come down there to play games. We brought we probably brought like 6 or 7 fan buses of students. People were just ready to see us play. And we came down there and whooped tail all up and down the field. We ended up winning the state. Well, the crazy thing is, Cincinnati Elder that year didn't lose another game the rest of the season. They ended up winning the state. That was their toughest game of the season, by far. Their first game of the season, they got their butts whipped wholeheartedly. And that right there, games like that, goes to show that when we come to play schools from out of state, we give them their best, and we come to play every time. Every time. And so Max Preps has recognized that, and they've seen other scores and other seasons that we've done. We've been very consistent, even in our down years. Well, down years, I should say, is our down years are, some schools are probably killed for, most likely, but we still are very, very tough to beat. So that's that. And really, I had an opportunity to speak to one of the football players, and I'll have him introduce himself in a moment here. All right, so now I'm joined live here by a current Warren Central football player, a defensive guy. Defense is true to my heart. So now we are joined live by number 23, Isaiah Bradley. Isaiah, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
All right. Now, we got first game against Center Grove this week. What can you tell us about Center Grove? I hear they got a really good back on this team. Have you heard that as well? Or
yeah, I seen it from experience. Carson Steele, pretty solid running back.
For
his age, especially his grade he's in. He's only a sophomore, and he started varsity last year. So yeah, he's solid running back.
I can't remember. Did we beat Center Grove last year? Didn't we?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's a solid back, and so hopefully you're a solid DB. You know, Center Grove, they don't do much passing, so that means you gotta know your keys, know your run stops and stuff like that.
Yeah, know our holes to cover in. Know how to come up, make tackles. Like, basically that's it. Bite the ball, try to force as many turnovers as we can, and then just play smart, play physical.
All right, now, how much did you get a lot of playing time, rotation time last year with the team?
No, I didn't because of a concussion I had, so I didn't get as much playing time. But that's, I'm starting to get a little bit more play time now.
Okay. Well, hey, as long as you know your playbook, right?
Yeah.
Your schemes, all right. Do you? The best thing I can tell you for when you're not in the game, make sure you're always conscious of what's going on the field. Know what play is going down, because you can always shout out to your teammates, pre-snap, what they're doing, what they're looking at, and see different schemes that offense may be trying to do. Like I always say, if it's run play, on the sidelines, everybody needs to run. You needs to yell run, pass plays, pass, of course, that type of thing. But always let your teammates know, hey, they're trying to get the bubble going. They're going to start coming your way soon, stuff like that. So it's always helpful for you I always tell people it's always helpful for you to actually be watching the game and be aware of situational stuff. These are like you watch basketball, right?
Yep.
The finals, game 1.
Yep.
J.R. Smith wasn't aware of the situation. Stuff like that and crucial mental mistakes are they hurt so much more than actual physical mistakes. Like if you were to hurt yourself or pull a hamstring and give up a big play, it sucks. I can understand that. But if you were to not know what coverage we're in, then you give up a deep pass. That hurts even more, right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's stuff that you game plan for each and every week, each and every game.
And I think of it like this. So if it's a physical mistake, it's different because you can always make a mistake physically and make a physical aggressive mistake. So it could be an aggressive mistake.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes you can really, like if a physical mistake, if you, depending on when it happens, you can still make a play.
Yeah.
Like you can still come through, let's say you trip up to start to play. You can still catch up to that player, wide receiver, running back, whoever it is, and still get there and just the right moment to divert a pass, to, like break up a tackle, stuff like that, really help impact on the play. But if you give up on it or think, oh man, I thought we were in cover 1 when we were in cover 0 or something like that, and you just gave up a touchdown, like
there's like no comeback for that.
It hurts, and that's the main thing coaches stress about is being prepared for those type of moments. All right.
Yeah.
All right, now Isaiah, I'm gonna let you go. I appreciate you helping me
Thank
here.
you.
All right.
This is Malcolm Burnell, 2009 state champ lineman, Warrior legend, and you are listening to True Warrior Football Podcast.
All right, and I want to thank Isaiah for coming on for me. And really, the boys really went down to Center Grove, took care of business, jumped out on them 20-0. It was just a game that really set the tone. It set the tone early, smacked them in the mouth a couple times, caused some chaos out there. Defense made a whole heck of a lot of plays. Very proud of the defense. Defense is still special to my heart. Shout out to Coach Mann, Coach Clark out there, co-defensive coordinators out there. Coach Clark has been with the program for years. He's probably one of the better defensive line coaches I've ever had the pleasure of working with, and knows his X's and O's, and he knows the game very well. So I know the D linemen out there are definitely well coached, and they're being able to reap the benefits of that. Matter of fact, one of his D linemen, Caleb, got a what did he get? He got a fumble recovery on, I think it was a block punt that we had. So those guys are out there. They train on that stuff. They work on that stuff every single day in practice. Pop-up bags, they're working on strip sacks. They work on making sure getting to loose balls and stuff. So his D linemen are definitely going to be the driving force of the defense right now. And really a crazy thing, and I haven't really talked about him too much in this podcast yet, but David Bell, the man is absolutely outstanding. And I can't wait to have him on here as well. He has really proven himself to be one of the ultimate team players I've ever seen come through this program. The man don't come off the field. I mean, he's a star stud wide receiver, one of the best wide receivers in the country, not just the state, but the country. You'd be hard-pressed to tell me there's 4 or 5 wide receivers better than him. And if they are, they're probably just taller, but that don't make them better. So, but he played wide receiver all game. And he comes over on defense, plays corner. He almost got a pick. Really, they probably should have. This NFL or college, they would have called it a pick, but they called him out in the back of the end zone. But he plays special teams. The man is just he is what you look for in all your players to be a great player, and he's really working hard. I know he had so much success this past season with the boys basketball team and them going undefeated and winning the state title, the first state title in school history as well. So he wants to go out on a high note with football, and he's being that driving factor. He's the leader the team needs. He is definitely the leader the team needs, and and I'm gonna have with my next guest here in a moment. that we're going to have. I stepped over to the defensive side for my first guest. Now I got to step over to the offensive side. Can't show favoritism on here, guys. So I got my next guest getting ready to come on here with me. We're going to talk about a little bit about football. He has some deep history with the program as well, probably deeper than anybody I could think of. But he has great talent, fine young man. He is definitely the offensive leader, one of the offensive leaders on this team, and he is going to be the big driving force behind how successful this team is going to be this year. So without much ado, let's bring him on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here, and as I told you guys before the break, I have a special guest with us today. Special guest, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
I'm Jaden George, quarterback at Warren Central.
Not just quarterback, starting quarterback. And if for those that do not know, Mr. George here has a legacy that he is carrying on. His father, legendary quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks to ever come out of the state of Indiana in high school football, was Jeff George Sr. Won 2 state titles in 1984 and 1985. And those, I believe, were the first 4A and the first 5A state titles, I believe, in state history. And then his older brother, Jeff George Jr., was a 2013 state championship winning quarterback who is now currently at the University of Michigan. Hell, to all my Michigan fans out there listening, you come from a very proud tradition of quarterbacks in your family. How has that led you to where you are now as a senior?
I mean, just having them by my side, they can both help me. They both get me better, and they just help me improve as a quarterback I am.
Did you coming into this season? Did you have a lot of stuff in the off season, summer workout, spring stuff like that you were working on to help better yourself? And how do you feel like and if you did, how do you feel like you've accomplished or have you been able to reach those goals that you set for yourself?
My goals this year were really just to get mentally better, just knowing the game better as it is. And also, I also worked on a little bit of footwork. I had to get my feet faster. Didn't really move much last year, but I feel like I improved a little bit this year on that.
Okay. All right. Gotta avoid those sacks, man. We gotta avoid those sacks. I know you were telling me you had a couple of bad moments on Friday in the game against Center Grove, but we got the W, so that's what matters, right?
Of course.
Great. I know it felt great throwing that touchdown pass. I know it felt great.
Oh yeah, it did.
Like tell me a little about the play. Describe how your progressions. How did you work that out?
Well, first I looked at David. It was just a quick slant, and I looked at David, and the linebacker flew out on him, and they were on him all night like that. But then all of a sudden I just saw the tight end was wide open in the end zone.
Really?
So just got to get him the ball.
Just got to get him the ball. I mean, that's oftentimes the best throw is your easiest throw sometimes, right?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, as a quarterback, you're going to learn those. You've already learned those things now. Now, this is you all 4 years you've been here at Warren, right?
Yeah, yep.
Okay. That's what I was thinking. I couldn't remember if you had came in as a sophomore or if you had actually been here as a freshman. Had you always thought about playing, because I know you and your brother didn't go to school here at the same time, but did you always dream of being a starting quarterback for Warren Central?
I mean, yeah, I've been thinking about this since I was probably about kindergarten, maybe a little bit younger. My dad would always bring us up to the Warren games, and it would back when with like Darren Evans and all of them, and even when I was young, we just always came up here, and just being a starting quarterback here has always been a dream of mine.
It definitely has a lot of panache to it. Like when I went to the NFL Hall of Fame ceremony about the beginning of the month, and Urlacher said in his speech, being a middle linebacker for the Chicago Bears is one of the greatest positions in all football, because it's him, it's Buckus, it's Singletary, it's guys that have been great and been great for so long. Like, besides your father, I mean, you got Desmond Tardy, that was quarterback. You have Dexter Taylor, who was quarterback. You have Matt Upshaw, that was quarterback as well. And a lot of these guys that were not necessarily state championship winning quarterbacks, like one of my favorite quarterbacks when I was a coach here was Kyle Fonts. God had moxie like I had never believed. he came out there and balled every single night. And that is the type of quarterback that I love. Now, I know you're going to be the leader this team needs. That's why I really love having you being my first guest on the team, because I know you're driven. After last year, you're driven this year, right? I know you want to go out on top. Man, that is every player wants to go out on top, right?
Of course.
Yeah, I mean that's the ultimate goal, is walk off that field that last game and just be known as the winner. Like, I want this for you so bad, Jay. I don't even think you can possibly understand how much I want this for you. But I mean, like, I don't even know if this is, like, how many teams, I don't even know if this is actually a state record or so, but how many father and son teams, or how many teams have had father and sons lead their teams to state championships in, I should say, history, let alone a father and then both of his sons? That would be incredible. That would be incredible. I hate to put the pressure on you, all right? But this is Warren Central, okay? You play for the black and gold, so you strap up every night. You know what pressure is, right?
Oh, of course.
Exactly.
I mean, we got pressure every night, but, I mean, we just got to go out there and do our thing.
Execute. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Hey, that is what I am talking about. Now, this week, okay, now we beat Center Grove, all right? They were a tough team now. We're nationally ranked. I just talked about that. Max Preps, number 22 in the nation. How you feeling about that?
Feels pretty good just to know that you're on one of the best teams in the nation.
Yeah. Which is really crazy because, I mean, Max Preps, they ranked us like top 10 in like the last 15 years. And I said earlier in the episode, like, there's over 3,000 high schools in the country. There's probably about 200 that play really good football.
Mm-hmm.
And for us to be considered in that top 10 of those, however many schools there are that play football, that's incredible. And for us to consistently be ranked in the top 25 year after year after year, that's really good. And you want to keep rising. You don't want to just be plateau and be okay. No, I'm not okay with being 22. Like, my senior year, we finished season number 3. I was like, man, if we just would have won one more game, maybe we could have got even. And then next year, we go undefeated, and we come like a couple of plays away in 2 different other games. If either of those teams lose, we could have been number 1 team in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't happen, so we ended up being number 3 in 2006. But you always want to be better. You're always chasing after greatness and pursuing perfection, and really want to be the top dogs as best as you can be. I know, and if we get this win, now we're playing Louisville Trinity. Now, is this the second time we played them? Because I think we played them last year, correct?
We did play them last year.
What happened in that game?
That was the game where I know it was neck and neck through the whole game, and then at the end we scored, but then we went for 2, and then that was the one when Romeo didn't.
That's right.
They said he didn't.
They said he didn't. Yeah, we were in the end zone with
Yeah.
the ball. They said, hey, I know you didn't score the touchdown, but you're in the end zone. That sucks, man. Referees sometimes, but it is what it is. It's not NFL. I really wish we could have instant replay on stuff like that. But so do you know a lot about? Have you been able to watch much film on them so far?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a little bit. I've watched last year's game, and then I've watched a little bit of their game against Carmel.
Okay.
They're a pretty good team, I can tell you that. I mean, they're also ranked in the nation, so they're going to come out, and especially after losing to Carmel, another Indiana team. I know they're definitely going to be coming after us pretty strong, especially at their own field. So.
Yeah, and I know those guys. They don't like. They're well coached. I know their coach. I met him some years ago at a football clinic, and when it comes to X's and O's, he's right up there with some of the best minds in the country. So I know they're definitely going to want to come out and hit us hard, because they don't want to lose to 2 out-of-state teams back to back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody looks down on Indiana football, but guess what? Indiana football's coming to your house, and we're going. Hopefully, you guys go down there and knock them around a little bit. You know,
Mm-hmm.
knock some of their swag off.
It's definitely going to be fun. I can tell you that.
Definitely. Now, let me see here. Now, you said you try to get the ball to David, and I really haven't spoken about David too much yet. I'm gonna get him on here eventually, but tell me about, like, he is such a especially gifted athlete on the field, and he's an even better person off the field. Let me just say that to start off. But, like, what is it like playing with him?
I mean, he's in my opinion, he's one of the best athletes in the nation, if not the best. I mean, he plays offense, and he's
Yes.
one of the. To me, I don't know a better receiver other than him.
I can't think of one.
But I mean, he's a stud on defense too, and also being on the special teams, he doesn't come off. I mean, he doesn't come off the field, and being able to do that, all it can do is just make us a 10 times better team of what we can be.
And the first time I saw that was last year in the sectional championship game against Ben Davis. That was the first game I had been to since I think Center Grove. I work a lot, so sometimes I'm not able to get to all the games I want to get to, but I made sure to come to Ben Davis game. And I'm going to get into this in another episode, you guys, I promise. I cannot stand purple. I have no purple in my closet. My wife tries to give me purple sometimes, like, nope, take it back. All right, take it back or burn it. Either way is fine with me. So I made it to Ben Davis game, and I'm sitting there in awe. He had 3 first-half touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's out there playing hard-nosed defense. He's out there covering. I'm like, oh, my God, this boy is not coming up. You usually don't see a lot of two-way players. Traditionally, we didn't really have a lot of two-way players back when I was here. The first one I can remember really a person playing both offense and defense a lot heavy was Josh Bailey in 2004, which we really needed because he stepped up and played a lot of DB as well, but he was a great wide receiver. Oh, a great running back for us, even though we had Darren Evans at the time as a sophomore. But as a senior, he was a great running back. He also played a little slot wide receiver. He has a state record for in the state championship game for the longest touchdown pass, 99 yards. Dexter Taylor, Josh Bailey, 99-yard touchdown pass. So it was him. He played a lot. Then 2 years later, Chris Atkins and Jeremy Finch played a little bit of offense and defense as well. Well, both played heavily defense, but then both of them were playing wide receiver for Jeremy, and Chris would play a little running back still. But they really, besides that, it didn't have a lot. Didn't have a lot of that until like McKelty Williams was playing a lot of quarterback and safety still. I remember Max Hernandez back in 2013 when your brother on your brother's team. He played everything. I mean, in the Carmel game at Carmel that year, he played defensive lineman, he played offensive lineman, fullback. He even kicked the point. That boy scored every single point we had in that game. I've never seen anything like that. One of the greatest performances ever. But traditionally, what I'm trying to say is for David to play so much and to really never come off the field and never complains and is ready to go out there again, that just tells you he's a special player. Whatever college he ends up going to, they're going to get a special candidate out of that guy.
For sure.
Like, seriously. Now, speaking of college, what do you have any offers yet?
I don't have any offers right now. I mean, I've talked to a couple schools, nothing really major right now, but
okay.
It's nothing like I've talked like they told me because of the last year I didn't play as much because I had a little bit of a back injury.
They just want you to really show yourself what you can do. I understand that. College recruiting it's a different beast, and I told Dean Tate this last year, man. Trust me, if I was the head of a college and I could offer you a scholarship right now, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah.
So you're a kid. I know you're going to continue to work hard. Your brother worked hard. Your brother, which is why I love your brother so much. He was a gray shirt at Illinois and worked his way up and eventually started games for them for 2 years. Won a huge game against Michigan State. Huge game. He's probably the first quarterback since maybe your father to start for a major team like that come from Warren Central and win a game. He's probably it's just so incredible, his work ethic and his passion, his pride. That's the reason why I love JG Jr. So yeah, I'm just trying to think here of another quarterback, because all the quarterbacks that we've had come through here, a lot of times they don't play quarterback, they play wide receiver or running back at the next level. So, but I definitely hope you reach that level and goals, man. Like I said, I'm proud of you. I'm glad you're out on the show. One of my first offensive player I've interviewed, had a defensive player earlier. So I appreciate you coming on the show. Any other questions, man? You want to ask me anything like that?
I can't really think of anything.
Can't really think of anything. I'm kind of threw you on the spot there. All right. Well, Jaden, I really appreciate you being here and being on the show. Jaden George, ladies and gentlemen, starting quarterback for the Warren Central Warriors, number 11 in your books, number 1 in your hearts. You can check him out this week as our Warriors travel down to Louisville Trinity, which is another ESPN televised game. It's going to be on ESPNU, I believe, 6 p.m. kickoff. So if you guys can't make it down there live and see the game, make sure you get those DVRs set, folks. All right, Jaden, thank you once again. I appreciate this so much.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, and now we are back and coming into this week's game. I have to talk a little bit about last year's game against Trinity. I think that was the first time that the two schools have faced each other. We've been playing a lot more out-of-state schools the last couple of years. It had been Cincinnati St. X and Cincinnati Colerain for the last few seasons before that. But last year was the first year that we had actually faced off against Louisville Trinity, and it was really a great game. I was talking to Jaden, and I forgot that Jaden actually got hurt in last year's game against Center Grove and was not able to play in the game against Trinity, and that was the first game that Dean Tate, senior do-it-all player last year for the team, was able to really come in at quarterback and help lead the offense a lot in that game. And really it was an up and down game of points all over the board. The final score ended up being 42-41, and that was one of the higher scoring games I've actually have seen and known about in my time here. I think that there was probably there was a game against who was that team from Ohio? Cleveland Glenville, that was in the high 30s. That was 2007. Then there was a game against East St. Louis, the Flyers from East St. Louis, my senior year. That's the highest game I've ever seen. That was 70-50 score right there. It sounds more like a basketball score than a football score. We won that game, lost the Cleveland Glenville game in 2007. But and there was another game against Center Grove in 2004 that ended up being 50-49, and that was the only game in 2004 that we lost. But usually we don't have a lot of high-scoring games like that. I could talk about the state championship game in 2009 that ended up being 42-36 or something 42-36, and that was a double overtime game. So usually we don't have games that go that high scoring. Defense usually takes over offense. They get things going, and sometimes teams just can't compete, so they don't score nearly as many points. But for this game right here, both teams are just on point offensively and got the ball rolling. And the IHSA, they made a huge error in judgment. Well, the referees make a huge error in judgment, and the IHSA had to come through in the game. In the very last offensive plays for us, we score a touchdown, and we go for two. And Ramir Elliott, who was a junior at the time, and he's a senior running back now. Congratulations to him. He just committed to University or Southern Illinois University. It's going to be Saluki next year. He scored a 2-point conversion. We went for two. He scored a 2-point conversion, and he's in the end zone, and the referees call and say that he did not actually score, which is just so incredible that he's literally in the end zone with the ball, and they say he did not score. Now, if this were college, if this were NFL, that play would have been reviewed. It would have been overturned, but unfortunately, we had to take it, and we weren't able to really we just weren't able to overcome that. And so we unfortunately lost the game. And it was just things like that really hurts. You hurt to see that happen to kids, but they would end up coming together after a few weeks of down games and really working and building their way up and becoming a better team as the season moved on. But this team is definitely looking to improve on that, and they're going to come out Friday night. I know they are. ESPN 6 p.m. game, ESPNU 6 p.m. game, and they're going to show those guys that last year was just a fluke, and that they should have won. They were the better team. They should have won that game for sure. So I am definitely looking forward to seeing them play. And big shout out to Ramir last week as well against Center Grove. 3 touchdowns to start your senior season. Hey, I know a few guys that started their seasons with 3 touchdowns. Jewel Hampton, Darren Evans. I think Shakir Bell had a 3-touchdown game as well against Maryville in 2009. Hey, if you can have multi-touchdown games in your first game as a senior running back, hey, you are off to a good start right there, my friend. So, hey, best of luck to you. Hopefully I have you on the show here in a couple of weeks as well. But before I get out of here, I just want to give thanks. Thank God at the beginning of this episode, but I want to thank my wife for support behind this. I want to thank her like tremendously. Like you have a good woman in your life, you got to give her the thanks and support that for supporting you as well. Let me try to think here. Who else? All the players, all my old teammates, all my former coaches and stuff. Everybody has reached out to me. I've had so many people once I announced this podcast have reached out to me, telling me how it's great that I'm doing this and that they got my support and they would love to be on the show. Hey, I'm going to be reaching out to you guys here soon. I got so many topics, so many things I want to talk about on this show. Hey, it is great that I'm doing this. It's great that people are anxious to hear what I got to say and what's going to be said on this show. So I definitely look forward to getting this out to everybody. One last note, if you can review this podcast on iTunes or Google Play, wherever you can, that would be greatly appreciated. I definitely want to make sure I'm getting as much feedback to help with this podcast as best as I possibly can. Like I said, I have so many different topics I want to talk about, but I want to make sure I'm presenting this podcast in the best way. And the best way to do that is to get feedback from you all out there, my listeners, my fans, my subscribers. So please make sure to do that. We're definitely going to make sure we're putting out high-level quality content each and every week. And with that, Warrior Band, take them away.